About 10 years ago, I wrote one of the scariest emails that I'll probably ever write in my life. I'm in San Francisco on a work visa, but I've realized that the 9 to 5 path, it's just not for me. If I want to reach financial freedom and have the sort of impact that I want to have in my life, I got to go out there and build a business. But I'm scared, and this email is just sitting in my drafts for weeks before I muster up the courage to send it to my CEO, letting him know that I quit. I'm going to go start my own company. And this was a really scary moment for me. It felt like I was jumping out of this airplane, hoping that my parachute of experiences and qualifications will somehow work. And over the next few years, we built something great. But if I could go back to that young man that was sitting in that fear, uncertainty, and doubt to send that email, this video would be it. So if you're thinking about starting a company or have ambitions to do that one day, hopefully there's some nuggets of wisdom here that will help you do it bigger, faster, and better than we did. And at the very least, give you some confidence to go get after it. So to paint the picture, I have one of my best friends staying on my wife and I's couch in San Francisco. And we've both got dreams of starting a business. And we're ideating what pain point can we solve for the world. And something we've both had experience in was employee onboarding, specifically the first 90 days, because for companies growing quickly, that's such an important period because it sets the foundations for new hires to have a great career at that company, but also for that company to make sure that they're getting return on investment on those new hires as quickly as possible. So we went out and spoke to all these high growth companies and said, how are you doing it? And they kept showing us the same thing, this version of their onboarding spreadsheet where all the rows were people and all the columns were tasks. And they've got yellow cells and red cells and X's and O's, trying to just drive consistency of process in employee onboarding because there's no software that did it. And that was the light bulb moment, which was everybody's building this very custom solution to this very generic problem. So we said, that's the wedge, that's where we start. And we went to General Assembly and somehow convinced some design interns to build us a prototype that we could go and demo to clients. And this prototype, man, it was like a newborn giraffe. It was so shaky, and if you stood up and got it working, you'd be hoping it wouldn't just fall down and crash a moment later, and you have to explain what just happened. But anyway, we convinced some people to invest in the product. They're really investing in us, but to sign order forms that if you build this, we will use it and pay for it. And with that, we went to investors and raised some money, and then hired some real engineers to actually build the software. And then we were off to the races. And over the coming years, we built an incredible company that served hundreds of great organizations around the world and onboarded tens of thousands of people into their roles. But it's true what Ben Horowitz says about building a company. There's only ever two emotions. There's euphoria, that everything's going right. We just closed a big sales. We've got a new case study with the customer. We just landed this dream candidate, and complete terror of we're getting our teeth kicked in by the competitors. This person's leaving. Our top sales guy's upset. All that stuff. But it's so character building. And I truly believe that building a business is one of the best forms of self-development anyone can ever go on. But it continued like this for years, ups and downs, until 2020 in March, when it felt like the world just stopped spinning there for a moment as the pandemic came in. And we had about 60 people on our team at the time. And sales pipeline just blew up. It went to zero because everyone just ghosted us in the conversations because no one knew what the future would bring. And all of our existing customers started getting cautious about renewing because, again, they had no idea what the future would hold. But anyway, we made a few adjustments. We disbanded the office. We went fully remote. And a lot of other companies did too. And they kept growing. They kept building. And oddly enough, our software helped them do that more effectively, hire and onboard remote teams. So we ended up having a super strong 2020 and being acquired by a bigger company in the space later that year. And that journey all started with that email to my CEO saying that I quit. But if I could go back to that young man, the 3 pieces of advice would be, the first one is that the timing was never right. So we were on a work permit in the USA. We were in an apartment we couldn't afford. We were waiting for something to come along. And I've seen so many people in their life just waiting for some external event to help them make the jump. And some people will never make that jump. And if building a business is in your future and your path, and I truly believe most of it's in our genetics, we shouldn't overglorify founders and entrepreneurs because 9 to 5 is a great path. But anyway, if you're thinking about doing it, just know there's never going to be a perfect time. We just got to find the window to shoot that shot, because you don't want to end up on our deathbeds and saying, look, we never had the opportunity to do it. Like, there's always opportunity. You just got to find the right time to make a jump and accept it's never going to be perfect. That's the first one. The second one would be, there's always going to be doubters along the journey. Even when we started with the idea of employee onboarding, people would question us, are you sure that's a problem? Is that really a pain point? Do people really care about that? Even when we got customers, Like, is it repeatable? Even when we got some investors, will anyone else invest? Even when we got employees, will people want to work for a company like this? And all along the way, there's always doubters. But it's not about convincing skeptics or doubters. It's about finding believers. And that was something someone taught us early on, which is you just got to find the believers in the story and the journey. And you can go so far. And if I could go back, I would just encourage that young guy to know there will be doubters. But don't let that get you down. As long as you're making customers successful and keep moving forward step by step, if you don't quit, then you can't lose. And the third piece of advice is, even though you start alone with just a PowerPoint and a dream and maybe a co-founder or two, you don't end alone, because along the journey, so many people come out of the woodwork to help you. And in our journey, it wasn't dozens, it was hundreds of people that helped us build, helped us get that referral, get that client, join the team, make that introduction. All along the way, there's just countless people that help you build, but you can't see them at the start. They seem like just strangers and that you're all alone, but people will help you. If you give them more forward momentum and show them that you're committed, you'll be amazed how many great people will come along and support you in your journey. So those would be the 3 key pieces of advice. Now, the hardest thing of all of that was actually writing that email and sending that to my CEO saying, I quit. So if you're thinking about it, just know that all great companies start in the exact same spot with people that have fear, uncertainty, and doubt over what will it be, but they all take the first step, which is to jump and make it happen. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next episode. Yahoo!